Live from deep in an underground bunker in East Tennessee, this is America's premier mortgage field services expert, Paul Williams.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you back to another edition of Foreclosurepedia Podcast. Foreclosurepedia Podcast presentation of Foreclosurepedia Radio Network, which premieres each Sunday. Time is 19:03 hours Eastern Daylight Time. The date is the 23rd of April, 2017. What's on everybody's mind this week? I don't think I have to tell you. I think you all know. What in the fuck is going on with Ocwen and Altisource? I tell you what, I was the first out of the gate with the report. Holding it right here. This came in from the North Carolina Commissioner of Banks, Ray Grace. We want to give a shout out to North Carolina Commissioner of Banks over there for getting this over to us. So what happened? Well, Ray Grace and 20 other states stated that Ocwen had no business having a license. Stripped it from them. And this is a very serious deal. So let me give you the quote. This is from Mr. Grace. As regulators, we encourage and advise companies to remain compliant with state and federal laws. However, Ocwen has consistently failed to correct deficient business practices that cause harm to borrowers. We cannot allow this to continue. And this is a very, very serious deal. They can no longer service or originate loans, mortgages. To put the quote specifically, the commissioner's order specifically prohibits the acquisition of new mortgage servicing rights and the origination of mortgage loans by Ocwen Loan Servicing, a subsidiary of Ocwen, until the company is able to prove it can appropriately manage its consumer mortgage escrow accounts. And I want to touch on that just briefly. I'm reading to you from a case that was filed in Wake County, state of North Carolina, in a matter before the Commissioner of Banks. Docket number 17, OT 25, Mike Bravo Bravo. I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, now I know all National Association of Mortgage Field Services regime members think that they can just steal money. The North Carolina Commissioner of Banks tends to state otherwise. Paragraph 13. Ocwen's response to the state regulators on January 13, 2017 was that the reconciliation of escrow accounts, which is paramount in ensuring the appropriate management of consumer funds, would cost $1.5 billion and be well beyond Ocwen's financial capacity to fund. Now, what happened exactly then on Thursday? Well, Ocwen was just surfing along, and they recently just had their $200 million fine. $200 million plus fine. They just paid California. A bribe, really, is what it is, to get that license back. 20 other states weren't swayed by that. And so at 12:30 on April the 20th, Ocwen shares were sitting at $5.45. By 2 p.m., they were valued at $2.42. And when the bell closed on the 21st, they had gained 2 cents. So from jump, half their money is gone. Their value, gone, over, goodbye. And Altisource didn't fare too much better. I'm going to tell you, 12:30 p.m., April 20th, they were valued at $44.06 per share. By 2 p.m., 25.71. Now, when we went into the 21st, April 21st, close of when the bell rang, $24.05. I want you to think very carefully about what I'm going to say next. Now, Patricia E. McTaggart. Patricia E. McTaggart, the woman whom strikes me as nothing more than a race baiter, nothing more than a woman who hates labor, is the woman at Altisource who's calling the shots on your work orders over there. Now, she's already demonstrated she does not care. Does not care who you are. Does not care about what money you're owed. She's going to send you and your family to the poorhouse. Patricia E. McTaggart from Atlanta, Georgia. This is a woman whom has command and control over a do not use list. Now, we all remember Berghorst Enterprises. That was Eric Miller's little quasi-fuck buddy, the former and now disgraced Secretary of NAMPS, who defrauded over $1 million. Over $1 million from minority females in labor. And what did Eric Miller, the executive director of the National Association of Mortgage Field Services regime, what did Miller do? He protected her. Those are salient facts. She remained both a member and the Secretary of NAMPS until she chose to leave. We all remember Buchek Enterprises, Adam and Amanda Buchek, who are hanging out in Atlanta now. De Beers Housing, let's not bullshit around. Eric Miller protected them. $1.5 million worth of fraud there that people never received. Both cases, Patricia E. McTaggart held the command and the control of those work orders and had the ability to pay labor. She refused. Now, Ocwen, an enormous provider of work to Altisource, no matter how they want to slice it up, no matter how Bill Shepro wants to slide off to the side and say, oh, I don't know Bill Irby. Bullshit. We're not doing work with him. Bullshit. That's why Benjamin Lasky up at the New York Department of Financial Services began investigating Ocwen. You cannot get around these salient facts. And I challenge any of these people or any of these companies to sue me, because we will gladly walk down that road on discovery. And those documents will be produced. I don't really need them, because I have hundreds of emails, including from the former Associate General Counsel of Altisource, whom was stationed in Luxembourg. It is nothing more glamorous than labor busting. Nothing more glamorous, and hold on before I give you this next punchline. The National Association of Mortgage Field Services regime has always had nothing but an all-white board of directors. They have always been white. The executive director has always been white and always a male. This is nothing more glamorous than the epitome of racism. Alt-right, neo-Nazi fascism is precisely what the NAMFS continues to this day to stand for. Even Eric Miller's own membership came to he and asked for assistance. Miller and his all-white board of directors were given tangible documentation that there was a do not use list being employed. I have a copy of that. And they did nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to come together and put an end to this. We need to come together and we need to shut this financial terrorism down. And while many people out there, myself included, ironically, are wondering precisely how it is that happy days are here again for Whitey. I mean, when we look at 1600 Penn Avenue, we got CEOs like Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan. We got Steve Schwartzman over at Blackstone and Larry Fink's BlackRock rolling in and out of 1600 Penn Avenue like a revolving door. How and why is it precisely that the NAMFS still is not able to pay minority females in labor? How is it after nearly 30 years that the NAMFS has not been able to get a minority on their board of directors? There's almost 400 companies. I'll guarantee you, many of those companies are minority owned. But see, that's a dirty little question that nobody wants to talk about. Moreover, and I fully admit I have some clients whom are NAMPS members. And I've asked them about the do not use list. Why is it that companies are so afraid to stand up and say something is wrong? The do not use list, that's wrong. Defrauding people, that is wrong. Supporting a regime who is committed to the furtherance of financial terrorism, that is wrong. And let's not bullshit around. This isn't about sympathy for the non-wealthy. This is actually about paying minority females in labor. But you know what? Hey, Eric Miller is out there on a brand new shtick. Tell you what, he's wanting to recruit labor. And if I ever catch wind of a member of labor joining the NAMFS, I will make sure they get their 15 minutes of fame. I will. But let me quantify that. Let me explain that in a way that only a trained media professional such as myself is capable of doing. You see, the NAMFS is bankrupt. Over the past 5 years, they've made $4,000 profit. That's it. They have hemorrhaged, if you count Miller's salaries, nearly $1 million. Eric Miller is paid $122,240 per year. They have failed to book all the sponsorships for their NAMPS regime fraud fest for the past 4 years. OpNAMPS, that's a hashtag OP, NAMFS, has been successful in gutting the bloated pig. Let's talk about that pig for just a minute. You hear that? Show prep always going on here at Foreclosurepedia. I have in my possession the contract between Mortgage Contracting Services and MidFirst Bank. It's a 36-page contract. Breaks down precisely what they're paid. There's an interesting entry on this. Section 4.2.2. Vendor shall be paid a trip charge of $35 in connection with the transaction. $35 every time they go there. But if you remember, no one can pay trip charges. You know what else they get paid for, ladies and gentlemen? The photos. That is no bullshit. You can go read it. It's in it's in a lawsuit that's ongoing right now. The case number is 5:16-CV-00221-R. It was filed on the 16th of March, the 4th of March 2016. It's over on Foreclosurepedia right now as I talk to you. So, for years, MCS and the rest of the National Association of Mortgage Field Services regime have been collecting monies that they say they cannot pay to contractors, and these are HUD dollars. It's not their money. The bank pays them a pass-through. The law doesn't allow them just to keep that money. And if you'll notice your chargebacks over the past couple of years, you'll notice you're getting them now. You see, because the gamble they all roll on is that after 2 to 3 years, those houses are sold. And if you think people like Diamond, Schwartzman, Fink, and hell, Gary Cohen, Trump's chief economic advisor, give two shits, they don't. And if you think Donald Trump is here to help you, you're sadly fucking mistaken. The only people who are going to help you are yourselves. And gathering collectively and beginning to demonstrate and beginning to picket as the First Amendment allows, Mr. Eric Miller. You see, for a lot of you new people who are just tuning in, Eric Miller attempted to sue me. That's right. He and NAMPS attempted to sue me for telling contractors to stand up for their rights. His lawyer issued me an apology. It still is framed on my wall. Heather Berghorst's lawyer attempted to sue me. Best I know, he's living out of a cardboard box because for the past 2 years, he has begged me to take down my articles about he. You people have the power and the control in your own hands. But when you continue to chase your tails, just like little Sambo in the jungle, it's where you're going to end up. It's no lie. The time is now. The time is now, ladies and gentlemen, to come together. And I'm going to tell you, there's an excellent outfit. While I'm not a member of it, I've been writing about them heavily. The International Association of Field Service Technicians. They're located at IAFST.com. Just go over there and take a look because those people are making some headway. They don't just have people who do cleanouts in their ranks. They have real estate agents, processors. They're making runs. Their membership have made runs on the HUD Field Service Manager contract. They're right now getting ready to make runs on the HUD Asset Manager contract. If you do not sit down and you do not get serious now, and if you reflect back, 2 years ago, I said 2017, shit was going to hit the fan, and it did. And you haven't seen anything yet. Wait till Q3. And that's when I marked it, and that's what I've predicted. We now have the second federal ruling in Bowerman. Fred Bowerman and his wife filed suit against Assurant Field Asset Services. We first had Brad Hurst sued Blue Check Enterprises. Decision in 2012 stated, there are no contractors in this industry. Everybody's an employee. Eric Miller kept that hidden for years. Bowerman just came down 3 weeks ago. Eric Miller is attempting to keep that hidden. And we will soon have Vincent, VMCS, decision coming out in probably 2 to 3 weeks. That's Bennett Vincent, took on AMS, who MCS is now today. The Bowerman case was a 50-page ruling. A very serious ruling. ladies and gentlemen. And this next piece, all of which coming out of California, I believe is going to trump the 50 pages. I think we're going to see 60, maybe 65-page ruling. Because Eric Miller and his all-white board of directors at NAMPS, Eric Miller and his whiteys who are dancing around the bonfires, singing "Happy Days Are Here Again." I'm going to tell you, these neo-Nazi, fascist, financial terrorist scum, they've made their own bed. And now they want to recruit the minority females and labor to come into their ranks. Look, I'm going to leave you with this piece because we're coming up at the bottom of the hour. I have a hard break. We're going to speak with a couple of hedge fund managers. But look, these rulings are serious. MCS is up for sale. And labor had better get a clue. It is going to get horrific, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to get horrific. But I appreciate you. I always consider it a privilege and an honor to be able to speak to the Foreclosurepedia Nation out there every Sunday evening. My name is Paul Williams. I'm the editor-in-chief of Foreclosurepedia.org. This is the Foreclosurepedia Podcast presentation, the Foreclosurepedia Radio Network, which premieres each Sunday evening. We come back from this hard break. We're going to speak with two gentlemen in hedge funds who right now as I'm talking to you, are looking for contractors to do rehabs and remodels. These are not NAMPS regime members. These are people with cold, hard cash. You want to work, you get a hold of me. I'll put legitimate people to work. I've been partnering management and labor nearly a decade now. Eric Miller and his cronies have tried to shut me down, and all they've done is bankrupted themselves. We're going to talk with these two men when we come back right after this. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. As usual, you may reach me on Google Plus at Paul Williams, LinkedIn, Paul Williams, and the LinkedIn group Property Preservation Consortium, Twitter, Foreclosurepedia. We stream all our podcasts on iTunes, Foreclosurepedia. We have our screencasts over on YouTube, the Foreclosurepedia channel, and always at foreclosurepedia.org. We'd like to give a special shout out to Amazon.com, whom provides our S3 podcast and video storage, and Cloudflare for hosting Foreclosurepedia in 24 different geo-positioned servers, pro bono as well. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to give me a shout out, COO at foreclosurepedia.org.